right, thanks everybody. We're gonna get the meeting started today, and the first is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First order of business is the approval of the minutes from the May 23rd, 2022 public session. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as written?
I'll make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Sarah's not online, right? So passed. And recognition of visitors, public input. I don't believe that we have any today. So the next order of business is the report of the administrators, and Lori will take over from here.
Thank you. Well, today was an exciting day. It was my last day of school for our students, and it was also our awards day where we recognize our retirees. So I'd like to announce their names of staff that are retiring from Fall Mountain. Donna Bashaw, Lorraine Chafee, Lisa Chamberlain, Joni Casabloom, Karen Galloway, Ford Delabec, Heidi Gubb, Deb Guerrier, Linda Hanatel, Mitch Harrison, Linda Lake, Julie Garrett, Lisa Rogers, Kathy Stevens, Kathy Olson, and Barbara DiBenaro. So we had a number of.
Did you say Lorraine?
Pardon?
Lorraine Chafee too. Oh, I may have missed it. Sorry.
It was one of the first.
Okay.
But we had a number of retirees, and everybody was honored. We also did our awards ceremony. Harry S. Westcott Award is Teacher of the Year Award. And every year our administrators come together and we nominate different members of our staff, teaching members of our staff, and we elect one person to actually receive the award. So we had some nominees, and the runner-ups were Melissa Lynn, who was a CPS teacher, Kelsey Fleet, who's our art teacher, and Linda Furlan, our math teacher at Vilas. The winner of the Westcott Award is Kathy Stevens from the high school, our SPED department.
Nice.
The next award was the Joan Jenkins Award, and again, we had a number of nominations for this. Emma Kabeski from the SPED department, Brenda McKinley from the IT department, Randy Kimmick from the transportation department, Lisa Rogers from North Charlestown, Sylvia Fry from Walpole, and Deb Guerrier from Vilas. And our winners this year there was a lot of ties, and so the winner was kind of split. At the high school was Rhonda Gendron and Tina Tidd, and also in facility was Kim Benware. So very nice to award them that. The next award was the Bob Brown Award, and it's for community support and going above and beyond. And that award was given to Heidi Gubb this year. And we had another award that we recognized last year, the Superintendent's Extraordinaire Award, and that went to the IT department this year. So congratulations to everyone. We really appreciate all the hard work that you've put in for the past years to make it successful. It's been, I guess everybody can tell you, it's been a long year. I think not only on myself, but I think everybody's happy that it's June and that we can get outside and do what we do best and start planning for September of 23. So with that being said, the awards was a nice way to end the end of the year. Another project is, I just wanted to point out, is the Walpole project for the outside classroom. There was information that was sent in your package, and if you need more information, Bill can talk about it. What we've been doing for the past couple of years from COVID, we've been renting tents, which are very costly for us to do. And outside classrooms and place-based education has really taken its hold. And we found money from the Hubbard Foundation, we are able to actually put a permanent structure up at Walpole. And it is supported by the Walpole Selectmen as well, and we would like to make sure that everybody is okay with it. We sent information, detailed information. There is some sketch of the geographic location. This is going to be a benefit for everyone, not only for the students in school and teachers that want to use it outside, but even parents during the summer in our community. So I think it's a win-win situation. I would like the board's, support of this project so we can move it along and have it ready for September. And if there's questions about it, I'm happy to take questions. And Bill here is, Bill is also able to answer questions as well. Jamie?
I saw the information from Bensonwood, who I understand is a Walpole firm. I am assuming, because it wasn't clear to me, and if I missed that, I apologize. I'm assuming the Hubbard Foundation, this is a grant from them?
Yes, it is. And they also plan to, Hubbard's come in, the foundation does
Yeah.
classroom. They're also planning to use that as part of their classroom base as well.
So my only question would be, did we get multiple quotes or just one from Bensonwood?
That I've got to be honest with you, I didn't ask that question, so I don't know if Bill.
I don't think we did. I'm not sure. I didn't.
Who is leading the project?
Actually, the project started 2 years ago, and I know Sam and Justin were both leading that project.
Okay.
And so it's something I could find out and let the board know, but I personally did not ask that question. We wanted to make sure that it was a secure structure. We did go and talk to our liability insurance company. We wanted to be from a reputable builder. It's going to be a permanent structure. It needs to be, sustainable to the type of winds and tornadoes and storms that we have here. And this is certainly, the company is local, and it's certainly something that I think would have that.
Yeah, the only reason I ask is because of the purchasing policy. Even though it's a grant award, you still have to follow the purchasing policy.
I'm happy to ask that question and find out and get back to the board, but I didn't ask that.
Thank you.
Yes, Tom?
I'm just curious, is it wheelchair ramp accessible? Is it gonna be a wheelchair ramp?
It's gonna be on the ground, and there's supposed to be wood chips as the foundation. This is just more or less like the protocol over it, so
Okay. 'Cause
it should be, everything has to be handicap accessible. Bill, if you have more information.
I have not really seen the,
Yeah, from the invoice that's in here, I didn't see anything about a
but
wheelchair.
yes, I would think it would have to be.
It has
Yeah.
to be. I built the school.
The reason I ask is, in Alsted, we don't have the Hubbard folks, so we're gonna try and take advantage of all of the retired timber framers in town, and we're gonna get Bensonwood to hopefully give us the parts, and we'll put it together. But we'll see how that goes, but that'll probably be maybe a year or two off before we have everything ducks in a row. And my wife, that was the first question my wife asked, was this handicap accessible? And I assumed it was, but I couldn't see anything in the invoice that said they could put a wheelchair ramp in there with.
Yeah, I would think we would have to.
I can tell you, when we rented the tents, it was gonna be a temporary basis, and those tents expense were put into the ESSER funds. With the amount and the continuation of having COVID continuously year after year, outdoor classrooms are going to be a great benefit. And I know at this point in time, if you decide that you want more outdoor classrooms rather than the tents, it might be something that you would want to put into the ESSER funds. So every community could have some kind of form of the structure if people want that. I think, here at the high school, I think it's really warranted, and it's really would like to see that happen as well. So going on, I will find out if there was 3 quotes, and I will let the board know. The only other question I would have is, there's not 3 quotes. Are you looking for us to go back to get some quotes, or would you give us permission to continue on with the project?
Should we follow our own policies? So I'm looking at the policy now because I don't recall what the thresholds are. I haven't been here in a while. What, if this is coming in under a certain threshold, I think you have the ability to pick a single source, a sole source provider, as long as it follows the rest of the policy. How much?
Yeah, I would have to go back and look. I thought it was 250,000 to get quotes, 3 quotes, but I thought it was under that price, it would be permissible.
So,
So I will go back and find out.
Right, there is a threshold.
I thought it was 250 as well.
That's what.
I'm certainly not gonna state that that is for certain what it is, but are we safe to say that if 250, or we are just simply under the threshold for the 3 quotes, that
That we just go
we can
ahead.
just move on
Yeah.
with the project?
so 10,000 to 199,999 is an informal bid. Using the informal bid proposal, a buyer will seek written quotations, evaluate the quotations and award the bid. A buyer may use the telephone bid if deemed necessary due to time constraints. The decision to use telephone bids must be authorized by the business administrator or designee.
I think we need to check on that with the people that started, because it did start with 2 business managers ago, and it's something that I'm not aware of.
So it doesn't have to be formal. It's really just a phone, like phone quotes even.
And I know Sam did do the legwork on this, because I remember hearing about it, I just don't have the details.
Thank you.
So moving on to transportation. I can talk about this a little bit more, and I do want to tell you, we stopped by transportation. One of our new buses is already here. So
Next
we
one
are
should be here, the second one should be here this week.
Very nice.
really excited about it, and looks like just what we need. He also came across a grant, a rebate program to buy or to purchase 2 electric buses, and I'll let Art talk a little bit more about it.
Yeah, this is called the 2022 Clean School Bus Rebate Program. It's actually put out by the EPA. And it started May 20th. They opened it up for applications. And we've put an application in. And we are considered a primary district because of our location and the amount of low-income families in our district. They are slated for 250 million for 0 emission, which is electric. And they've also set aside 250 million for gas and propane. We have put in for 3 electric buses. This will take place the end of next year if we are chosen. We will know by October if we are chosen. Okay? They will, the grant is for $350,000, no, $375 per a vehicle, per bus. Matt from DATCO, who was the one we just dealt with, the 2 buses that we just got, they're putting the application in on our behalf, on Fall Mountain's behalf. And their buses run about between 325 and 350 for the electric buses. So in Central, 3 electric buses will be free. All right. If we are chosen, with each bus comes $20,000 towards the charging unit. Okay. I've got some quotes, like a 19.2 kilowatt, which is like a trickle charge. If the bus is completely dead, it would take 12 hours to recharge it. They run 20,110. So essentially, we would get one of those practically for nothing. The Matt from DATCO says if we're going to get 3 buses, that he recommends 2 trickle charges and then one of the 60 watt, which is like a fast charge. It'll charge your bus in an hour. One of those runs about 57,000. I am in talks with the electric company already to come to a site base to see where we want to put the stations and stuff, to give us a rough ballpark of what work needs to be done and so forth. Jim Fenn had been in talk with them for the last couple of years about helping us out to go and get some electric buses. And I told her that I was not involved in any of those talks, so I don't know where those talks went. I know that from what I got left from Jim, they were willing to pay anything above what a normal bus would cost. Normal bus is $98,000. They were going to pay anything above that up to the $350,000 50,000 for the bus. But I told her that we were going to go with this route here. But I told her that I was not opposed to talking with them if they wanted to help us out with the cost for putting in the infrastructure, that they could reap some of the benefits of the electric bus. Because once these buses are fully charged, they start putting power back into the grid, which the electric company, of course, take and use. All right. So when we're off for like a week school and these buses are plugged in, once they're fully charged after how long it takes, they start putting energy back into the grid. The bus remains fully charged, but they put energy back into the grid. Okay. I actually talked with a transportation manager out in Arizona who have a similar setup to what we have, where they're on a dead-end road. Their high school is at the end of the dead-end road like ours, and their transportation facility is halfway through. They run about 23 buses. With the extra power that they get from their buses, they actually power their high school with that power.
So is this just a report for us to know what may be coming?
Yeah.
Correct.
It's informational.
Yes.
Okay. We
Yeah.
want
I just wanted the board to know that we have submitted an application,
Okay.
which the application's process started May 20th. They have to be done by August 17th is the cutoff. Then the EPA is going to take their New
I'm
Hampshire,
familiar.
yeah, and whatnot, and they're gonna call us, let us know by October if we have been chosen or not.
Yeah.
Okay,
there's no action on this. This is just information. I
just
feel.
information for the board to know what's going forward.
Absolutely.
So my suggestion would be, as we get closer to perhaps knowing that, to have the business administrator bring us actual facts and figures with projections. Because I'm familiar with the program and I'm familiar with electric buses. I'm also familiar with a lot of the problems they've been having with them that are already in place. So I'd like to see facts and figures once we get closer to that, if we think it's a direction we might want to go.
Absolutely.
You
We're
had-
just looking and we're investigating and,
Yeah.
this is new for us. If we can get something that it's going to be a benefit to the district, I think we need to do that and look at it. But again, I don't have any figures and that's why.
Like I said, we're in the preliminary right now. I just want to let the board know where we're headed, that we have filed an application. Once we hear more from them, then, we go. I did set through a Zoom meeting with the EPA about the program. That's where I got the information that I think you guys have received. Some of the information on the program itself was from them.
Did you say that there is also money on the table for gas buses as well? Did I hear that? I thought you had mentioned there's like 250 million for electric and 250 million for gas.
That's propane.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Which the board can decide to do what they want with, but as long as I'm sitting above my maintenance building, I will not have propane here because of what happened in Kearsarge.
I will vote no all day long.
Because if those women that worked in that building upstairs or had been an off week, they wouldn't be here.
Okay.
Right now, we're just investigating and getting educated. I would like to go back to our discussion about covered outside classroom. And Justin is online with us right now, and he did inform me that they did get quotes. And so Justin, I don't know if you have any other additional information you would like to share.
Hi, everyone. No, I received 3 quotes. Griffin Construction was anywhere between 25 and 30,000. And then there was another company through Vermont that was the same, around 28 to 30,000. Benson Wood came in saying that they would do a lot of the donating and everything. So that's where that piece was coming in. And we started doing this back in August, and then everything kind of just got a little out of control. So we came back to it at the end, and we followed up with Benson Wood, and they wanted to keep the contract that we had. So we wanted to present that forward with everyone. And we just think this is a great opportunity. We've been talking about this with our site-based committee. We'd love to eventually have this at all 3 of our schools as an outdoor area for everyone. But we wanted to start at the primary school because we felt like that would be at the most use currently.
Thank you.
He doesn't.
Thank you.
Well, based on that, I would say that it's okay to move forward with that project. That also nice of so Benson Wood sounds like they're donating some of their time.
Would we like a motion on that, or are we just doing a consensus?
Is it in the?
You can make a motion or you can put it under the consent agenda if you like. whatever.
I mean, we can take a motion. Do I have a motion to approve the pavilion project at the Walpole Primary School that's funded by the Hubbard Foundation grant?
Yeah, I'll make a motion if nobody else.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, thank you. And again, I would just like to extend my gratitude for the school board for allowing me to be your superintendent for the number of years that I have been. It's been an honor and a privilege, and I've enjoyed my tenure here. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Lori. I did want to mention that we did recognize Lori at the retirement luncheon as well. I spoke there, so I won't do it again to you, but just 14 years of service to us is a great service to the community, and you know, the board today and of the past. Thank you very much for your time. So, thank you.
Thank you. So that's all I have.
All right. So we have the new business is the warrant articles discussion. Isn't that somewhere else as well? Action agenda. Is that the same thing? We have new business warrant article discussion, and we have under the action agenda authorization for expenditures.
Well, this was discussion about the warrant articles, and then I wanted approval, whatever you decide to do with the warrant articles.
Okay.
That's why it's under an action item.
Okay.
Not on the consent agenda, because I think we need to discuss what's, where we are with the warrant articles, and then from there, make a decision as to what our next steps are.
All right, so do you want to sort of bring everybody up to speed
Okay.
on those and where?
Definitely. As we started to move into the summer months and having our budget approved, I met with Bill and we start looking at the different warrant articles and the projects that we have committed to during the summer. Bill started to contact with different contractors in the area, and we found that the price of materials, especially paint and staffing as well, has gone up tremendously. And we wanted to come back to the board and go through each one of the warrant articles and tell you where we stand and ask for some recommendations. The first warrant article that we come across is warrant article number 3, and that was from the town of Ackworth. Shall the voters approve $12,000 for capital improvements to the Ackworth Community School to paint, stain the exterior of the building? When we looked at this, the money was coming from our capital reserve funds, which was $53,000, and we were only asking for 12, and that was approved by the voters. But now that we have gone to actually get the quotes and try to solicit someone to come in and actually to do the work, we're finding that the total cost for this project is going to be $32,750, which really is quite a big jump from the $12,000 that we originally anticipated. In order to do this project, we would have to ask the board for $20,000 more funds that would have to come from the end of the year capital reserve funds, or else we could say that we will only do, I'm just going through the options. We could do $12,000 worth of the painting. Maybe that might get us the front of the building and do the painting in stages like year 1 and maybe year 2. Or else we could decide not to do anything this year and hold that money in reserve with the anticipation next year that we would go back to the Ackworth voters and ask for additional funds to really do the job correctly and get a valid quote and signed before we go to the voters next year. So it is a significant difference of money, and we really wanted to bring this to the board's attention and have a discussion, and we need some direction from the board on this one. We could go through all the warrant articles, or we could do them one at a time.
Probably easier doing one at a time,
Okay,
because I don't
Jamie?
think they all have similar issues.
No, they don't.
Okay,
But
so,
Jamie,
yeah, when I read this one, you can't use unreserved fund balance for capital improvements to single town-owned structures, even though they're considered all part of Fall Mountain Regional School District. You can redirect funds from the Ackworth direct budget to cover it. But I'm pretty sure, and I have to reread the bylaws, I do not believe you can use unreserved fund balance coming off of everybody else's money for a single building unless it's a shared building such as this one or a shared property.
Could I make one point? We ran into this in Alstead with some of our warrant articles that, for example, we're trying to pave Gilson Mine Road and the price of paving has gone through the roof. Our attorney told us that what you're suggesting is illegal, that you can't, what we would be told in this case would be that you can spend up to $12,000 to paint the building. You cannot spend one penny more on that without going back to the Ackworth voters and asking for that, wherever you're
not-
getting the funds. I mean, that's the way it would work in town.
That's not completely true for the school district. So I understand why they said that, because what they're saying, Joe, is that once you set a budget number, you can't go and arbitrarily spend more than that budget
Exactly.
number. Okay,
Without
but
content,
what
without
they
voters
can
approval.
do is take this $12,000, okay, and then Bill and Gail every year budget money for maintenance work within the Ackworth School in the regular budget,
Yeah, I'm
okay?
sure they do.
So because they have a regular budget line that already has maintenance / repairs already in their budget, they could redirect if they have savings within their Ackworth budget, once they get all their hires done or whatever, they could redirect money from that direct budget and use it in that maintenance line. So
I don't mean to laugh, but $20,750
I know,
bucks,
I
if
get it.
they're that much under budget, we did a lousy job budgeting.
well, that's not fair, thank you, as a financial person in school districts, that's not a fair statement. But anyway, what I would suggest that you would do is that you keep this money set aside, and in the spring of next year, get your quotes. Or maybe if somebody could hold the quote, get some quotes in December closer to when spring might be, and then put a warrant article on for the difference, and then do your project in the spring. Once the warrant article's passed, you can do the work in April.
The hard part is that this was really supposed to be done last year. The building was not.
Right, that was
good.
the question.
Yeah,
The question
Sarah.
that I have that goes to Bill is, what is, I mean, the building needs, I drive by it every day. That's my town. And that's my school, and I love that school, and I helped build the addition, so my sweat and blood is, literally blood has gone into that building. So, I know that it needs to be painted. Could we, what would you recommend, that we put it off, or that, which we've already done? We've already kicked the can down the road. Should we kick the can down the road again, or should we do half the project? Because I think those are our two choices.
I
Well,
would,
unless we have money, and I don't know what you have in your.
I would recommend what Jamie said, is to wait until next spring. We called 5 contractors and we got one estimate, one quote. 3 of them said, can't do it this year, call us next year. One said, yeah, I'll go up and look at it. And we've called him and he won't call us back.
Huh?
So I mean, I only got one quote and I tried to get, 5. I think if we just let the money settle, and then in the spring, because as long as he starts the project, or the painting company starts the project in June, we can use this $12,000. And then if we need more, then maybe we'll get an estimate at, 25,000.
Oh,
No.
okay, I see what you're saying.
But Joe,
You go over
you are
two
right, it
fiscal
was,
years.
Yeah.
So then
it was a
you
lousy
add money in,
quote.
put money,
I mean, it was,
so will you
lousy
put,
budget.
will you put money into the budget again for next year for painting too? And,
Well, depending on how much we have left in the aqua budget, like I have 2 lines there that I could use, is the contract, the 430 line.
Right.
Which is maintenance and
but you'll
then,
have a better idea. I'm seeing,
maintenance
I'm
supplies.
getting it now. It's coming
Costs
faster.
have gone up remarkably too.
Oh, my goodness, the costs have gone crazy, yeah.
You can do a project over 2 fiscal years, so Bill can look to try, everybody's in the same boat with projects, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So what Bill can do is around December and in November, middle of December, these people their business will be cooled, right? So they'll have time to get back with him. And then he can have those conversations with them and he can say, okay, I've got 12 grand I'm sitting on. He can get better quotes because maybe they'll put us at the front in like April or whenever the weather breaks. And then he'll know how much he needs to complete it. And then at that point, we as a board, along with the finance committee, can say, okay, we can put this extra 20 grand right in the budget in that line, right? We can just budget for it. Or we can go to the voters and say, can we pull it out of the capital reserve fund, assuming it's still, there's money there, right? So you'll know, you'll have better numbers and you'll know what you need. So you can either budget it or you can ask to pull more out. And at that point, Sarah, you still have the 12
Right.
where you could paint whatever the worst parts are that might be,
And instead of it being where you're asking for a bid, to be able to make a budget, you're asking for a bid to be able to do the project.
correct.
Okay.
we ran into a very similar case last year with the sanding and refinishing of the Walpole gym floor. No one would even talk to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
terrible.
one guy, I saw a guy in a parking lot at Jiffy Mart who had, gym finishing floors all over his truck. So I said, can I get your business card for future references? He, nope. Shoot, right out of the parking lot. I said, wow, okay.
Yeah, I just,
But that's what it was like. So I finally got somebody to redo it, but they're gonna start in June. They're gonna start in a week, so.
It sounds like we have clarity on this board issue. Do we need to make a motion and maybe just vote on it? What do we need to do?
I think each individual, do we need to make a motion on each individual warrant
No, I
or
think,
just,
I think what we had just said and how to resolve warrant article number 3 is valid
okay.
and if it's noted in the minutes, we should be fine. And
Yeah, as
every
long as
warrant
we're
article, you
clear
address
that
it a little bit differently.
the unreserved fund balance is not going towards
I mean, that's the
individual
main part.
warrant article projects.
I don't think anybody was suggesting that.
It's
I just wrote it as an
on
option.
paper.
Well, it was an option. It was just thrown out as an option.
It doesn't fit the
Yeah,
purpose.
I'm just saying that we're still dealing with a social worker that wasn't returned to a town appropriately, so to start, I'm not saying that it was suggested, I'm saying it was written. Funds will come from unreserved balance at the end of the year, so that's what was written. And I'm just saying that you
can't do it.
yeah,
So I think we're making it well-known that that will not be the way that we go about trying to make these warrant articles work because of the inflation issue. So.
So
right.
I think we should talk about every one of them because
Yeah.
there's a little bit difference. The next warrant article is number 4. Shall the Alsted voters vote to appropriate $20,000 for capital improvement to Alsted Primary School to replace carpets in 2 rooms and the Violet's Middle School to replace the slate roof and replace carpeting with said funds coming from the capital reserve funds. And this was passed. And when Bill has gone out to look at the different and get quotes, the slate roof was budgeted for 10,000, and you are able to get a contractor for $9,952, Bill?
Yes.
Okay, so that's not an issue. That's something that we can go ahead and do. Violet's carpeting was budgeted at 4,000.
Yes.
At Elsted carpeting was budgeted at 6,000.
The-
And I'll let you talk about what you discovered underneath the carpeting that needs to.
Yes, when I was asked to put this in, I went off what it cost last year to do Walpole Elementary, Walpole Primary's main hallway by the square footage numbers. So I just put in 3,000 each room. And then when I went through the asbestos books and wrote up the quote that you requested, I realized that I wasn't paying attention about the asbestos in these two rooms that they requested the carpet changed in. And so that changed it by about $14,500 a room.
That's an Allison primary.
That's an Elsted primary, yes.
I have a question.
Jamie.
So Bill, I'm sure this isn't the first time we've put new carpet in the room, right?
So they want carpet taken out
They
and
want-
tiles put in.
They want,
Oh, so they want carpet, they want to switch it out?
Yeah.
Okay, and so what's underneath there now is
is
asbestos tile?
asbestos.
Gotcha, okay, because I was thinking, why wouldn't we just be able to put carpet over it again? We can. You could re-carpet it.
Yeah, but you'd have to put it over the carpet.
That-
If the old existing carpet comes up, it's glued to the asbestos tile,
I
and
see.
you have to treat the carpet as it's asbestos.
So,
And we're having problems with
okay,
teachers with allergies. The whole
Yeah.
thing behind COVID was trying to get rid of carpet and having tile. And that's where I've got teachers.
I just
that-
want a follow-up question, okay? Thank you, Gail, I know you've got issues there. But this isn't the first time we've recarpeted that room. The building's over 30 years old, that carpet over 30 years old?
It was tile, and years ago, the custodial manager who was responsible for it put carpet over the tile, the asbestos tile to encapsulate it. And it was,
So that carpet's that old?
yeah,
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. I thought we had
yeah.
done that. Okay.
The carpet was nice because it was a lot quieter in the room,
Yeah, gotcha.
but
Shelley?
So wouldn't we do the same, similar to this as we did with the warrant that we did before? So you're gonna use it twice around?
Can I offer a suggestion? If I understood Jamie correctly, there's money in the individual school budget left at the end of the year. You can move that to your maintenance and do this project.
You could redirect it, yes, if there's money in the individual school line.
Okay, so we were just given the whole year-to-date expenditure. And it's saying that Vilas has $125,943 remaining. Can that solve this problem and be done with it? And
Yes, it
Alstead does too.
could, and I think that here's my personal opinion for the board to consider, okay? And Fall Mountain, we're a regional, so it's a little different than where I am, but it's always been suggested by auditors that if you're going to move larger sums of money in June, right, after normal purchasing has closed,
Right.
that it's done by the board, that the board knows about it and condones it. That way your auditors won't come in and push the expenditure forward, okay? So in any of the direct budgets, because we're built from 12, in any of the direct budgets, like to Shelley's point, where there's money left behind because of a circumstantial situation, right? Is that right? Yeah. So, and you need something that can't be covered and it's not the end of the fiscal year, then you can petition the board. Really, I think our policy here says that the superintendent and BA can make that decision, but it's best to go to the board and say, do we have your permission to reallocate this amount of money in order to take care of this problem? In order to do that for June, for a project that goes over 2 fiscal years, you've got to break ground on this, you know that, Bill, before June 30. So they've got to be at least on site in the building, ripping a piece of carpet off of that tile. in
They
order-
will be in this building Thursday.
Okay,
They're starting in this.
so yes,
building
But
Thursday.
isn't this for fiscal year 23?
you can go, you can do a project with money from 2 different fiscal years.
Right.
Whether it's money's coming off of this one, along with the money
So
from
then it was
next.
when they could use it.
Yes,
Okay, thank you,
or
that makes
money
sense.
from the one it's voted in, and then put more money into the year after it. Those are all legal. Those are all legal, okay? I would not suggest or vote anything that was not, okay?
So for me, I guess I would just say that we're being presented this and we want to discuss how we're supposed to solve this problem. Not, that is an option, but Alyssa just said, well, Violet or the Alpha Attendance area has X amount of money. So are we supposed to dig that up, find it, say, hey, this is what we want to do. We're gonna I don't know, that just doesn't sound.
I think you would need to say that we would allow for them to transfer funds to cover an appropriation that was not budgeted enough for. You know, and then you vote yes or no, you can vote yes or no. If you vote no, then they need to figure it out in a different manner.
And it would be the same way as with the painting.
I think the problem with the Ackworth, doing that with the Ackworth one is that these folks can't break ground on that project before June 30. That's the kicker. You cannot use money and reallocate it to lines for this fiscal year unless you've got the contractor on site to start the project within the fiscal year. Because if you don't, you can't do it.
Network doesn't have quite enough to do so.
You know,
To do the
enough
project
time.
well, they don't have enough money left over in their lines to do that.
So I guess my biggest question would be, Elsted has how much left over?
Violet specifically has 125,943. So you
So-
could do the,
So then the board, what I'm hearing Jamie say is the board can say, with that 100 and something left over, you can take 8,952 and put it towards this project, right?
It's 28,950.
It says 28,000.
Yeah, but there's 20,000 already, it's 20,000 you got in the capital improvements, which was approved. So you're short.
Oh, I thought this needed to complete project was how much they were short.
Do you need a full 28,000?
Yes.
Yes,
10,
really?
24,
So then it's,
24.
It's
the
a-
total
Doesn't make
project
sense.
is 48,000 something, something.
Doesn't matter.
I thought Bill said that the.
Well, it
would
would be,
14.
it would be 28 and 6. Because I budgeted 6.
Right, but the
28
warrant,
less 6, you mean?
the warrant article, you already have 20,000 approved.
One
Right,
was for
yeah.
Alston and one the other was for.
Well, let me get my glasses.
But it's only 6,000 for the carpeting.
Yeah.
That,
Oh,
Anyways,
so the 6,000 is in the budget, not the warrant article. So
The
are
six-
they
no, the
separate? Are we
6,000,
combining
because
them?
I
So,
understood
yeah,
it.
the way I'm reading this is that you budgeted 4,000 for carpeting. Carpeting has gone up. It costs 6,000 now. But you need another additional 14,500 because now there's asbestos that wasn't considered as part of the warrant article.
But read it, says per room,
Yeah, per room,
Yeah.
14,000 per room. I don't know how many rooms we're doing here.
2.
2, so it's 28.
So that's 28,952 right there. And again, I mean, for me, it's like, I guess I'm the only one on the board that thinks that this should be the voters deciding this, not us.
Well, my
that's-
thought
that-
process on this
I
was
never
if
got
we
the point
don't,
out.
if we don't ask for this money to be moved, it's just gonna go back to
That's right.
the voters, and then if they elect,
Plus funds, yeah,
to-
and then they'll do it next year and do it the same way.
So-
they did
That's if the
Redwood.
board chooses to give the money back like we did last year. which at this point, I know at this point, no one can even prove to Charlestown how the money was returned, in what percentage it was returned. It's split. So if there's, if there's $5,000 left, everybody gets $1,000, but Charlestown put 46% in. So they don't get 46% back. Langdon doesn't get its 12% back. It gets more like that percentage. So that's why I'm asking if the board has the authority to take end of year balances and is able,
Prior to the end of the fiscal year, not after it.
right, so
The next one.
in the next week, this money could be taken out of that end of year balance, but at the same time, we could look at our principals in each town and say, you have $100 and something left. What do you need for your specific school?
If it can be
Instead of
available.
returning it the way we did last year, where there are towns who are paying in more money, getting less back, and towns that are paying less money in, but getting more money back, because it's separated or returned equal value, but it's not being brought in by equal value. And the taxpayers have already spent this money. So I personally would like to be able to look at the Charlestown principals and say, you have this much money left. What do you need for your schools? And then Walpole can do the same with their extra, not extra budgeted money, but their surplus money. Elsted can do that. And each town has control over their surplus that was in this budget, and it's done fairly and it's done right.
So can I just, let me follow up on that, okay? Because there are certain ways that you can do that, all right? So when an auditor comes in and they audit the books, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to open a can of worms, but let's have a discussion about it so that everybody has a very good understanding, all right? When an auditor comes in and audits your books and your surplus funds, they will look at all the expenditures for the last month of your budget, and they will look at your expenditures for the first 2 or 3 months of your new budget. And so what they're looking for is to make sure that the monies that were budgeted for the year we're in right now, which is 21-22, have been appropriated and used within that budget year. There are a couple different scenarios that can occur where you can carry funds over from one budget year to a next. And that is if you're doing certain projects where you can start that, where they start before the end of a fiscal year, and then they can roll into the next fiscal year. I don't discount what you're saying, and I think it's really a great practice for a school board to have a conversation with their people in like March and April to say, listen, you're trending under budget this much money. What's been cut? So what you do, Shelley, is like when you're building the budget, you maintain a cut list of stuff that's been cut out. So then you can restore it to the budget that it was cut from. But when you get this late in a fiscal year, you just have to look at what different things that you might want to be reinstating to be sure that they fit in line with the fiscal year that you're in.
Well,
Does that
and
make
again,
sense?
we're getting into, this is just wrong.
Okay,
Last
then
year,
don't do it.
no, what and it's not to you.
No, I mean, I don't
This
want to
board,
confuse it.
this board is fully aware that Charlestown paid for a social worker of $100,000. We paid that. The town of Charlestown voters paid for that social worker. We couldn't find one, and the money was returned to everybody in the district. When the Charlestown Select Board came to this meeting, it was promised that that was going to be looked into. The other thing that was brought up during that meeting was when we return funds, like we're about to everybody in the district, that as I stated, people who pay in more are getting less, and people who pay in less is getting more, and that's not right. And when we have money left over, whether it's Elstead, Vilas, Walpole, Charlestown, doesn't matter. If there's $100,000, then they should be able to use the $100,000 to get their painting done. And it shouldn't be a question of, well, we gotta do this, this, and this. It should go back to the towns that budgeted that money. And we're
So
gonna get into another year where that's not gonna happen.
we're sort of on topic, it's sort of off topic, because I understand what you're saying, Shelley, for sure, but I think we're getting a bit off the rails on this particular thing and how we're going to address this particular issue. What you're bringing up
Needs to be addressed.
needs to be addressed, but it's not, it's, we just need to decide how we're gonna, what you're saying makes sense, but we can't fix that right now. Whether we want to vote as a board that we're going to allow the Alsted Attendance Area to do that, somebody can make a motion and we can decide that we're gonna do that.
Lori, it's been a pleasure.
I'm gonna make a suggestion that we don't do it because it's too much gray and there are too many questions apparently that were not able to be answered coming off of the last budget year that I really want to be able to walk everybody through. I think that happened because you didn't have a business manager on board that knew how things worked. I think that I've gone through and traced a lot of it because other people have asked me the question and I've walked them through it. And I want to do it again and show everybody how it works. Because I don't want I don't want folks in Charlestown to not be able to see where it went. And you can follow it through. But this past year was very difficult because the people who were doing it, Craig, they didn't know how to show it.
For sure. And I think
You know?
that from Lori's perspective of
So I
saying we
think
need
it's
to
best-
have this discussion
Yeah,
is, we are in a situation where these things were approved, but now we just simply
Right.
don't have the money for it. So we're having a conversation of how are we going to address these things? And it may be that trying to force these things to work this year is maybe not the right thing to do because we didn't have the personnel in place.
Yeah.
And we just need to make that decision.
So a question, it sounded when we were talking about the Ackworth project, like we were going to
we
wait.
can't break ground before the end of the fiscal year. You can't use this year's fiscal
Right,
monies.
Right, that we were gonna wait until next
Correct,
year.
yes.
So we were gonna get a bid and we were gonna do that next year, so.
Little
If we
different
just kind of-
situation, because the
Could we-
asbestos people are already on site for this
Oh, I'm sorry.
And the
That's
teachers,
okay.
and I think
Yeah,
the hard part,
I don't know.
teachers are expecting this to be done, and I know one of the rooms, in fact, I mean, the carpet is so ripped that it's a safety issue. People are tripping over.
So the other suggestion would be, the other suggestion is put carpet back.
That doesn't have asbestos underneath it.
Jamie, what's your other suggestion? I couldn't hear
Put
it.
carpet over it again. It's a temporary solution. You spend $6,000. And then you budget it accordingly.
What school would that be taking? If it Elstead primary?
Yeah, which it'll be I know it won't be great and it won't work great, but it's an option.
Like reseal the asbestos with carpet?
Well, no, what he's saying is whoever put it in, glued the carpet to the tile. So if you dislodge any of the tile, you're now in an emergency situation where you have to abate. There's nothing you can do.
Right.
So they would have to carpet over the carpet that's already there.
All right, so I think that option one, that we're gonna do in Ackworth, can't do it. So we're not gonna do that with Alsted. Option two is that we make a motion and vote to allow Alsted to use what is left over in their budget. And then option three is that we put some other carpet down. And
If it can be done, can it be
If it-
done, Bill?
You'd be gluing carpet to carpet.
I know.
or four, we do
You
nothing.
know, I would recommend leaving the carpet, the existing carpet in until next year and get them in there in June and just get the extra 28,000.
Yeah, I would say let it go, I would say let it go to the voters.
So do the same thing as we're doing at Ackworth.
But in the meantime, are you gonna do the slate roof budget repairs? That's under the 10,000 that we.
Yes,
Okay.
the budget, the slate roof will be done, and the carpet at Violet's will be done. The carpet at Violet's, there was wood underneath it. There is no asbestos, so we can just rip that carpet up and put the tile down.
And then next year, come back with the warrant for
Asbestos.
the unanticipated stuff.
Right. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
All
I
right,
like
so,
So you're able to do some work.
So we're
Yeah.
gonna-
It's already,
Yeah.
some stuff is already budgeted, so it's not like that school is gonna go without anything.
Right.
Then I'm gonna move us on. I think that's a good resolution and it's similar to what we're doing in Ackworth as well. Warrant article number 5, shall the Langdon voters appropriate $18,000 for capital improvements to Sarah Porter to install a new oil fire boiler. And this is gonna be done in-house and there are sufficient funds according to Bill to have this done. Anything else that you'd like to add on this one?
No, we'll just be, it's just a small building with a small steam boiler. And we'll just put another steam boiler in there and two new oil tanks. We have been looking at the possibility of switching it to propane. Because the propane bid come in at $1.90 a gallon this year, and oil come in at $5.02.
Ouch.
And that was the only one that would give me a solid number,
Who is it?
Bot Energy.
wouldn't the BTUs on propane lower? I
Did you
mean,
call?
I
A
don't
little
know.
bit, yes. But it's $1.90 a gallon compared to $5 a gallon. But we can't find the oil that we need.
Okay,
That, a propane steam boiler, large enough.
yeah,
The,
Yeah, it's gotta be-
you're getting residential.
right.
Instead of commercial oil.
So
So
it's really
we
not.
probably will be going back to the oil.
All right.
So that's not an issue in that anyway.
No, it's
Okay.
not an issue. We got plenty of money there.
We just wanted to go through all the warrant articles, yes.
Just a quick question. What about, so Sarah Porter, it's steam, they're rads,
So what?
it's steam at Sarah
Yes.
Porter? And they can't do wall mounts?
Well, you can, but not for $18,000.
No, I know, but okay.
I would have loved to seen them in there, but that was about 65,000.
Okay, for wall mounts with propane?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thanks.
So warrant article number 6, shall the Charlestown voters appropriate $63,500 for capital improvements? And right now was budget $55,000 for new bleachers. And the price came in at 45,000,
Yes.
so it's under.
And that is complete. They're taking the old out and putting the new in.
Just check with people as if they want some of them bleachers.
That people have already, well, someone has, I had one person want the wood.
I know.
And the other was to put in a new clock system. We budgeted $8,500. It's coming in at a price of $7,900.
The bleachers and Jackson.
I think we're all set with that one too.
Yep.
Amy?
So no, just to the bleachers, because I just want to remind people that we have policies for disposal of assets. Right? DJ, disposal of assets. So if things have a value and you're not giving them to another nonprofit, then
I don't think there's any value except for emotional. There are people who are emotionally attached to those bleachers. There are some maybe skin left over from behind. Who knows?
Initials carved in.
There's initials carved in them. It's more of a there's no, am I correct in saying there's no value in those bleachers other than
I don't believe
sentimental?
so.
There's probably a cost to dispose of them.
There is,
There
yes.
is.
Yeah.
which is
Would that
really
be included in
sad.
the quote?
Because, some other places, think outside of the box, right? There are some other school districts that have done this with long-standing things such as bleachers like that or other structures or items. And they've actually like taken them out, cut them in pieces, carved them and sold them as fundraisers and made thousands of dollars. But hey, you know, that's a lot of work, so
Maybe we can auction them off.
not a bad idea.
I wouldn't do any of
Sure,
that
we'll be in
unless
charge
you
of
went
it.
to the voters of Charlestown, because there are some people who are
So what are you gonna
very,
do when they're gonna throw them away?
people want those bleachers. There are
You're
people
gonna
who
give it
want.
to the people who want them.
Well, I'm saying, that's what
Do
I'm
they want
saying.
whole or do they want
If
just?
people want the
pieces of
bleachers,
wood?
then we need to
There might be,
advertise
there
it
might be
as
sections that they.
Oh, we need to
a
advertise it.
disposal of
Right,
assets.
so we need to.
All right,
advertise it.
I mean, do we have a policy on this that it needs to be followed?
We had one when I left, I don't know.
Yeah.
So-
There is
I
a
thought the
policy
bleachers
on
were
it, it
too
was when that they're gonna be destroyed, when they take them apart, and
Okay.
that would be part of the cleanup. We weren't looking to sell bleachers.
I mean, I guess I felt the same way, is that I assumed these were going to be disposed of. So then,
So they can
how do
dump-
we
they
view
can
them
just
as an
dump
asset?
people.
If something's being disposed of and then somebody wants essentially the trash of the school that they have emotional attachment to, then is our policy null and void at that point in time? I mean, if it doesn't have an actual value, then,
I guess.
or can it go to is it gonna go to the Charlestown dump and just be there? And then you could say, hey, if you want your
We
bleachers.
just donate it to the Charlestown Historical Society.
Well,
And
no,
then they
sure.
can do what they want with it.
If there's somebody, a representative of the Charlestown Historical Society that can take it and then do with it what it's,
So it's policy DN,
okay.
okay, disposal of school property. And this comes up because I'm sorry, I spent 11 years here, got my head handed to me once because we got rid of some stuff and people went dumpster diving to take it home.
I remember that.
Oh, I don't doubt
It
it.
happened
So
2 years
hence
ago.
the policy that tells you what you do with stuff if somebody wants it.
And it was broken chairs. It was not stuff, it was stuff that we didn't think.
All
we
right,
could get.
anyways, I'll get with Kathy and she can reach out to you guys
Yeah.
and you can have a conversation about the
Absolutely.
bleachers.
I think that's a good resolution to this. I mean,
So you can pull DN and read it. And then, not to be a pain in your butt, Bill, sorry, but I just really remember. All right,
Oh, yeah, that was a big deal.
it was a big
I
deal.
remember that.
I do have a question. It says, also was supposed to have a gymnasium storage area. Is that still part of the plan?
Yes,
And there's no additional cost there or anything?
well, it'll be the extra 10,000 to build it. But it's only gonna, I was talking with Jason and he just wants a small little, couple of little closets built, 3 feet deep.
Okay. So it's no additional
We'll
cost,
do-
it's
we'll do
within the
that
parameters.
ourselves.
And we are gonna figure out how
It's
they are
over in the
disposing
corner
of
up
this
on
and
the-
whether or not anything is
right-hand side.
salvaged.
That one he does for that.
We're gonna make sure that we're following
Policy DN.
policy.
Yes, we probably should in Charlestown.
All right, the warrant article number 7 was shall the Walpole voters vote for 21,500 for capital improvements at Walpole Elementary School, and that's to fix the foundation, new clock repair, and to replace the stage curtains at North Walpole School. And of course, this was funded and budgeted right now is $9,000 for the new clock system. The clock system is coming in a little bit under that for $7,900. Budget was $8,000 for new curtains, and the new curtains and shades is only going to be $5,700. And budget was $4,500 for foundation repairs. So it looks like, Bill, you have enough funding for everything that was put in there.
It was basically the asbestos in the painting that.
all right,
All right, next warrant article was warrant article 8. Shall the district vote to appropriate $50,500 for asbestos abatement and painting of the gym ceiling at Ball Mountain High School? And from my understanding with your numbers here, you were budgeted $10,000 for painting.
Yes,
And can you explain this with the first quote coming from Pratt Painting at $18,000 and how you're going to do the high school?
well, That's, we may have to do the same exact thing that we're doing in Aqua.
Could we please?
Wait until next June and paint it and put the, you know, I was just shocked with the price of the painting quotes when I got them.
I think being that we've established this for Ackworth and talked through it with the other schools and other things, that we just decided that's what we're going to do for this project as well.
Yeah.
Jamie,
Okay, much to Shelley's chagrin.
I'm gonna tackle her and take her down. No, I'm sorry.
Bring it on, girl. Listen, for the next meeting, I want to do a little research on, there is another option potentially, seeing as we have 3 different projects that are like this. So I'm gonna do a little research and there may be a third option. I just don't know what it would entail. You may be able to go and put these articles back out with a quick special meeting and vote.
Well, that would.
we did talk
talked
about that.
And
Oh, you did? Okay. All right. Sorry, never mind.
Well, so it is an option.
Right. Never mind. It has steps involved.
Yeah, and I think that if we're
Yep, no, good. As long
having the
as it's not-
personnel in place and then, you know,
As long as none of these are critical, I'm good. Is everybody else set with this?
I think we have a plan.
Are you
So,
all set, Bill?
I'm also, yeah.
That's the end of the warrant article discussion.
so that actually is our action agenda too.
Yeah.
We did that simultaneously.
We've
Okay.
already taken care of.
All right, so next is the consent agenda. Does anybody wish to pull anything off the consent agenda? No. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda as is?
I'll make a motion and put the consent agenda as is.
Have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so we did the action already. Committee reports. Do we have any committee reports?
Didn't the Articles of Agreement Committee meet?
No.
We did.
Super.
We met, the finance committee met.
How'd they do?
It was interesting. We had our first meeting, and I don't remember when our second one is, because I got a
The
little.
last Tuesday.
Huh?
I think it's the last Tuesday.
Oh, good, thank you for that, yes. So I have minutes here and I haven't dispersed them, and people have been emailing me because I'm the secretary on that committee. So we met, it was a good meeting, we got to know a little bit about each other. We elected officers, and so the chair is Gabe St. Pierre, Charlestown, the vice chair is Jennifer Marchese. I think she's from, Alstead, thank you, I'm sorry. Apologies to Jennifer. And then I'm the secretary. And so we've set another meeting date to go over, which might be interesting for other folks to come and listen to as well. And Alyssa attended as well, the meeting. To go over, we're doing the last Wednesday. I think that's what it says. I'll double check that. To go over how all of the finances work and how all of the budgets fit together and how to follow them through the financial statements. So that folks can familiarize themselves with, you know, how the money comes in, how it's dispersed, where it goes, and how it goes back. So we're gonna go through all of that, like a accounting 101 for Fall Mountain.
Is this the budget committee, also called the budget committee?
This is the, oh, I'm sorry, budget committee, not finance committee, I'm sorry. But I get my terms messed up. I have a finance committee where I am, the budget committee met. So our next meeting, we'll double check that. Like I have last Wednesday of the month, 6:30, Fall Mountain Library.
Plus, that's the website. Website says it's the 29th at 6:30.
Is that the Wednesday?
Yes.
Good. My notes are good now.
Your notes are good. I gotta change. my
We
calendar.
discussed it a few times, so it could have been, I could have had it wrong. Okay, so that's what we're doing. That's the committee.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
It's good update. No other committee reports at this time.
I do have a question
Yes.
for Jamie. Is this the setup that you had for your meeting? For your budget
Is this-
committee meeting?
Oh, like this? No, we just had a square bill.
Okay,
Yeah, like 4 table square in the middle. We just met all the way around it.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And the treasurer's report, that's being signed.
I thought we were changing the need to sign these at meetings.
After July 1st, once all the new folks get
All
on.
right,
Way to go.
not bad. I want to pick up.
What's that?
Where's that?
Right, yeah, I would do,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm gonna move other before the non-public. And then we'll get to the non-public. So the first portion of the other is school safety. And Joe had provided a letter to all of us to read, and that was his own personal letter that he wanted to send to Senator Shaheen, and wanted us, not necessarily to approve that as a board to send on the board's behalf, but look at it and maybe consider that we as a board reach out to our legislators as well. So does anybody have any discussion on that particular letter? Jamie?
I think the issues are larger than, I like Joe's letter. I'm glad he sent it. I think the issues are broader and larger than what that addresses.
Yeah, I would say that if the board were to send a letter, that it would definitely need to be a more broad-based letter addressing everything that is an issue with school safety today.
Correct. And I think other districts have actually done that in concert with the New Hampshire School Boards Association. They may even have had a, what do you call it, a sample,
Yeah.
if you will.
So why don't we reach out to New Hampshire School Board Association and see if they have
I'll do that.
something that we might be able to use, and then we could craft our letter perhaps at the retreat in August.
Sounds good.
The general school safety discussion was initially on the agenda because we do not have, we have Lori as the main administrator and Gail here, but the real hope was to have all the administrators here, and just because we moved the meeting from last week to this week, there's not, we certainly can have some generalized conversation, but much of the conversation needs to involve the administrators. So yes, Jamie.
So is that part, is number 2 going to dovetail a little bit with non-public A? Okay,
Yes.
good, then I'll hold my comments then.
Yeah. The board retreat, I think everybody is on board for August 13th. We will have a well thought out agenda for that. So everybody is aware of what's happening at that. It's in advance. And if you have anything beyond what you've given for your priorities list, then send that so that we can put that together. But really the focus is strategic planning, which is encompassing of all of our committees that need to be looked at closer and how often they report, along with the Articles of Agreement Committee, which is part of the Strategic Planning Committee now. So we will get all of that worked out heading into the next year, where we really have the support of personnel to do all the things that we need to do. Next piece is the summer schedule. So there's and Jamie, actually, this came up because of something that you brought up with personnel. So I will let you speak to this if I don't explain it well enough. But in the past, what we have done is given authority to the superintendent to approve contracts for new hires. And there's some question as to whether or not that should be a board approval like we do throughout the school year. So it was brought to me and Sarah, and we discussed, whether or not we should give that approval again to the superintendent to approve new hires, or whether we should try to have at least 4 board members that are willing to meet, bi-weekly or weekly in order to approve new hires, so that we don't run into potential issues that may come up. So if you want to expound on that a little bit, Jamie.
So our attorney in our district differs from your attorney's discussion, I think, of it. So attorneys have differing opinions on how the New Hampshire law is written about the superintendent being able to levy contracts or they're called conditional contracts, actually, because the school board has to ratify contracts in New Hampshire. So, and I know we used to do it all the time. So I was quite surprised when I got to my new school district. They said, "Oh, no, we can't do that." And I'm like, "What do you mean we do it?" So I don't know, Lori, what do you know of that? I mean, you shook your head. They differ in opinion on it.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
And you're right. The superintendent will nominate and the board elects to hire the people. We covered ourselves because at the end of the summer, we would bring all the names to the board and the board would formally make that nomination and elect to hire the people. We can do it the way we have been doing, but if the school board, like a personnel committee, is meeting every other week or every week, that would satisfy our needs. Our goal is to find the right people to fit during the summer so we can open the school with a full house of staff. And if we have to wait 2-3 weeks before we can offer someone a contract, you're going to lose people. It's very competitive out there right now. Barbara did put in, she did send us an opinion. We can do it that way. It's we did cover all the pieces, but by the same token, we can make changes. Now is a good time if you want to make changes, provided that you meet at least on a weekly or bi-weekly basis so we can hire the staff, because it does happen. And people are saying, I won't make a commitment unless I have a contract, because it is very, very competitive.
Is that must be a state by state thing, because when I was working in
It's
Vermont,
New Hampshire. It's New Hampshire.
it's New Hampshire, because Vermont does it all the time.
Yes, they do. It's New Hampshire statute.
So I'm gonna just say that if our attorney that we use is making this statement that we can do it this way, and it puts us in a position where we are most competitive to hire people,
That we can move.
I am not going to challenge what our attorney says.
The concerning part is that if you have any problem with any of those conditional contracts, you'll have a hard time breaking it because you've made an offer.
Yeah, I mean, the way to avoid this is essentially to have more meetings throughout the summer.
July meetings.
Um,
I don't know what we've done.
When would the list of personnel generally be brought to us?
Right now, I would say it would have to be done almost on a weekly basis. You know, if we have nobody, I mean, the superintendent can hire non-certified people, that's not the issue. We're talking about certifications and people. We could do it as needed and tell you that we have somebody that we want to hire, and if you can pull the committee together within a couple of days, that would be fine. But it'd be better if you had a scheduled meeting, even if it's for 5 minutes. So we could talk about personnel.
Can I just point out that, yeah, I mean, when we almost, I don't know, I can't think of a single time that the personnel has been pulled off of the consent agenda in terms of the teachers being hired and not hired.
Those are rehires though, mostly, aren't they?
No.
Okay.
You're talking about when you mean when it's come through traditionally in August? Is that what you're talking about, Sarah? Like when all the summer hires usually go before the board?
No, she's talking about the personnel list that we get
I
at
think
every
anytime.
meeting.
Anytime, yeah.
So I'm sorry, I assume those were all rehires, because we do it differently in my other district.
Well, I mean, sometimes it's rehire, sometimes, I mean, it depends on the time,
Most of them are new.
depends on the time of year, but a lot of them are people that are leaving as well. But there's never any discussion on those. And those are people those are paraeducators that are being hired. They're sometimes a teacher that's being hired here and there during the school year, not usually during the school year, but do we hire a teacher? But substitutes, coaches, all of those things. And so I don't see, since our if we're not wanting to, I always feel as if we should be meeting through the summer because we need to be starting to talk about the budget now. But, if people want to push that down, kick that can down the road, then we can't complain that we're waiting too long to start talking about the budget.
But we don't have to talk about the budget this year. There's a whole committee who's gonna do that.
Thanks.
Well, but we still need to be thinking about what needs to be in there. So, I mean, just because there's a committee, just because there's that committee doesn't mean that that takes away our responsibility for the budget. So I think that we still have a responsibility I feel that I still have a responsibility to voters to be looking at what should be going into that budget and what would be a fiscally and educationally sound budget.
Are we talking about personnel right now, or are we talking how many times we're meeting this summer?
Both, how many times we meet this summer, because if we meet straight through, then we don't have to worry about it. If we don't meet straight through, then we need to give the superintendent the right to during the summer to be able to hire to offer a contract.
Can I just
You
tell
can't have
you
both.
the number of openings we have that would be certified staff? Right, and I'm not talking about the front door monitors or paraprofessionals that the superintendent has the right to hire. But we need a reading specialist at CPS. We need a school counselor at CMS. We need a school nurse at North Charlestown and CMS. Student service coordinator at central office. We have 2 open positions right now. Teachers, we need an alternative ed teacher at the high school, a chemistry teacher at the high school, a grade 5 teacher at CPS, a music teacher for APS in the high school. I mean, also attendance area in the high school. Yes, they're coaches, they're stipend positions. The superintendent has the authority to hire stipend positions, but the teachers are really what we need, and that is a big list. We have never had a list like
This is
that.
late to be hiring a teacher. If you don't have teachers hired by April or May, it's really difficult for the summer.
And if you're telling somebody, well, wait, I can't offer you a contract, and I have to wait until the personnel committee meets or whatever for 2 weeks, you may lose that person.
If we have to wait until August.
Jamie.
So apologies, because I made an assumption that was wrong, not remembering how we did things here, or maybe it's changed since I left. I made an assumption that what the folks we were voting on were rehires. So I would make a suggestion on new hires that usually, I think most boards, I don't know, I could be wrong, see the new hires resumes when they're brought forward for hire. So if you don't see their resume, you know, and you're certifying their hire, that's, feels like a problem to me. So my suggestion would be this: if people don't want to meet through the summer, that we would treat it similar to maybe the new accounts payable structure, and that just the resumes are emailed to us, and as long as nobody has a glaring issue, you offer conditional contract and we ratify it as a group later.
I think the thing is that we hope that you are gonna put that responsibility on your building administrators, your principal, and your superintendent to make sure these people are vetted and certified, properly certified and all that. So that's our jobs.
I understand that, but we're putting our name on the hire that you may not know that I know something about them, right? And I may not know that just by looking at a name. Right, but, and I could be completely wrong, but I think in most circumstances, Gail, I don't know, how did they do it at your former district, do you know?
Same, it's up to the principal and the superintendent. We never-
And you never sent resumes to the board with the hires?
No.
Okay,
That's our job.
I would agree with Gail, and I would say, you know, my wife just got a job and she did not receive her contract until they verified that her continuing ed was done, that
they can't even go to the board.
she was
without
like, I mean, there was all like,
Yeah.
so, I mean, there are HR and the administrators and everything, like, doing things behind the scenes.
that. I know how it works.
Well, I know, I'm telling you, Jamie.
Thank you. Thank you for letting everybody else know how it works.
So I guess I'm not sure that I will go back to, if Barbara says that we can do this, then, and that puts us in the best position. I'm not opposed to meeting. I'll meet when anybody wants to meet.
Sure.
But if somebody wants to make a motion that we're gonna change our process, then we can do that. We can have a vote about it. But as far as I'm
I think it would
concerned,
be a good topic for discussion on how we do some of the processes for the school board stuff at our retreat, maybe.
okay,
I think that's
so
right.
maybe not something to change
Right.
right now. So
No.
nobody, okay,
No,
so
that's fine.
we're gonna,
So is the board going to authorize the superintendent to offer contracts?
I would like to make a motion to authorize the superintendent to offer contracts over the summer.
Conditional contract.
Conditions. Are we doing conditional contracts?
That's what
We
I-
don't
What have we
have,
done?
we just say it's a contract.
Right, it's a contract.
And then
Yeah.
we tell people everything is brought to the board at one time.
do I have second? All right,
Who seconded? Kevin.
all in favor?
Aye.
I'll abstain.
So we
And
have
you have to say opposed.
all opposed.
I will vote in favor, but only because we are going to discuss it in August.
Becky, I'm a yay and a yay, a good.
A yay, a yay, a yay, a yay.
Well, a yay.
Gotta
with
talk about it in August.
Yes.
A yay with, we'll talk about it.
You look so excited.
So,
Do you guys want me to send you an email to remind you to talk about it?
yeah,
Yes.
all right.
More communication.
We
is
could
good.
probably bring it up at,
But I wrote it
at
down
next
too.
week's board
It's
meeting
in a
anyways.
minute.
Okay, I think that takes care of the
That's it.
public session, so. we
No,
are-
it's you have dates down here, 6/27, then it says we have to choose a date.
So that was if we elected to meet throughout the summer for this purpose.
Oh, sweet. All right.
Cross
So
them
we're
off.
not going to meet through the summer?
I'm like, there's no way. I can
When
do
is
this.
our next board meeting after this?
I believe our next board meeting would be our retreat.
Okay, so our next board meeting is the retreat.
Yep.
Yippee!
For time for that, or is that just keep the whole day open?
So are you gonna-
It is going to be most of the day. So the plan now is
Bring your sleeping bag. and a
we are
tent.
going, I would say,
There's a
like,
lot to talk about.
you know, there's not gonna be a lot of pomp and circumstance around this. We're probably going to meet at central office. We just need to be able to get together and
Then let's not call it a retreat.
Right.
Because that's
'Cause that's
not
not
a
a-
retreat.
it's a retreat because we're gonna be talking all day.
No, it's a
And we're
board.
retreating, we're retreating from our homes to have discussion.
Well, where do you
So-
want, where,
It's a board meeting. It's not a retreat. So.
Workshop.
It's a board workshop. So, there is going to be food. I'm gonna make sure Shelley has a puffy chair there, though.
What kind
A
of?
puffy
chair?
chair.
no,
Oh,
no,
a puffy. I thought you said a puppy chair and I'm like, I don't know what a puppy chair is, but I'm in.
You're playing anxiety puppies.
Let the little puppy goes. We can't have it, we can't have it up in the back at Vilas Pool. That's a retreat and it's right down from central office. Just saying.
Let's discuss it in July.
We're not meeting.
We'll-
in July.
Meeting in
No,
July. We have a July 11th.
no, we
All
just.
July
Yes,
meetings.
we're going
This is
to
the last
go
meeting.
into our non-public and it
Until
is
August
for,
Say that.
He just, that was the decision
I-
that's just made.
I thought we had been July 13th.
I'm sorry.
Do
Do you guys
considering
want to
matters
meet in Ju-
related
so
to
the debate is,
preparation
do
and
we
carrying
need to
out
meet in July?
emergency
Well, what was
functions.
your-
There's no debate. We're not meeting again until August 13th.
And
Got
the,
it.
right, she didn't understand that because she was looking at the
At
dates that
our
were there.
board workshop.
Craig,
Okay.
you lost
That's your first meeting at your board work.
all right, hey, we're going into non-public for consideration of matters relating to the preparation for and the carrying out of emergency functions, including training to carry out such functions developed by local or state safety officials that are directly intended to thwart a deliberate act that is intended to result in widespread or severe damage to property or widespread injury or loss.
So you made that motion just now.
Yes,
Okay, I'll second that motion.
all in favor.
Roll call vote.
Roll call voting. Okay, Jamie. Jamie,
Aye.
Shelley,
Yeah, it seems complicated, but yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Sarah. Myself, yes. We are in non-public.